Sophie, thank you. Good evening. Welcome to Look North, our top story tonight. 4 men have been jailed for over 10 years in total for their part in a riot outside a hotel housing asylum seekers in Rotherham.
You have brought shame on yourself and the town of which you are a resident. You must be punished for what you did.
We'll have the latest from Sheffield Crown Court. Also tonight, teenagers in Sheffield call for urgent action to cut the 2-year waiting lists for mental health support.
And here in the East Leeds suburbs, a very big crowd has gathered behind us with balloons at the ready to welcome home Team GB gymnasts Harry Hepworth and Luke Whitehouse.
We'll meet the piano virtuoso from China who's been delighting audiences in Leeds today.
And it's been a beautiful afternoon across much of our region. There is some rain in the forecast for tomorrow, but the weekend is looking very promising. Join me for all the very latest.
Hello, thank you for your company. First tonight, 4 men have been jailed for over 10 years in total for their involvement in rioting at a hotel housing asylum seekers. Windows were smashed, fires were set and police officers were attacked when anti-immigration protesters met outside a hotel in Manvers near Rotherham earlier this month. Ollie Constable has been in court for us today.
These are the latest to be jailed for their roles during the rioting. Police officers were injured, with missiles being thrown at them during hours of rioting outside the Holiday Inn in Manvers.
Over the last 10 days, dozens of people have been arrested and charged and brought here before the courts in Sheffield. Today, 4 people appeared in a courtroom behind me after they pleaded guilty to violent disorder.
This is Glyn Guest, approaching the police line. The court heard the 60-year-old from Wunwell had been out walking the dogs before coming across the violence. He was jailed for 2 years and 8 months for his role, grabbing an officer's shield and pulling them to the ground. Also appearing today was 49-year-old Trevor Lloyd from Rotherham. He told police he'd been shopping at a nearby Aldi before seeing the violence. He then went into the hotel after the windows were smashed on the ground floor, as seen in this photo from the scene.
You were part of a violent mob, and you were playing your part to the full. You were not being directed by others. You were doing this of your own volition. You were at the front, not towards the rear. Trevor Lloyd, the sentence I pass upon you for your participation in this dreadful example of violent disorder is 3 years imprisonment.
23-year-old Barnsley man Elliot Ragg was also sentenced today to a prison term of 2 years and 4 months. Meanwhile, 38-year-old Stuart Bolton, a disqualified and uninsured driver, drove his partner and son 50 miles from Lincolnshire to the hotel. The judge jailed him for 2 years and 8 months and said his car would be seized.
Police officers were praised for their work that day, facing what the judge called a violent mob. Judge Jeremy Richardson, KC, said the rioters were there to spread hate, targeting the hotel, which housed more than 200 asylum seekers. Every day, more people are brought before the courts. Ollie Constable, BBC Look North in Sheffield.
Ollie, thank you. Next tonight, teenagers in Sheffield say they want to see an urgent reduction in the time they have to wait to see a mental health specialist. Rising numbers of young people are reporting they're struggling with poor mental health. That's according to official figures. 1 in 5 young people report that they have a mental health problem, according to the NHS. This is an increase since 2017, when 1 in 9 8 to 25-year-olds said they experienced mental health issues. In our region, young people are waiting more than 2 years for counselling or talking therapy, with Sheffield Children's Hospital's NHS Trust reporting their expected wait for a first appointment is now 2.5 years. Our reporter Hannah Gray has been talking to teenagers at Sheffield Future's Support Hub.
Not many people open up that's why a lot of people in our generation struggle with like anxiety, depression, and all this because they don't know how to speak up because not many people do.
Bravely sharing their experiences with mental health struggles, this group of teenagers love meeting up at a well-being cafe in Sheffield.
I was going through like a lot of things, like whether it was like anxiety or, you know, I felt like life was just crashing down on me, you know, in terms of what I was going through at the time.
I was by myself like, all the time, like had depression, anxiety, like everything was just going wrong.
Like coming here has really benefited and opened a lot of doors for me, so yeah.
People go through the same stuff as you and you kind of like bond in a way.
In 2017, NHS figures suggested that 1 in 9 young people said they had a mental health problem. Now it's around 1 in 5.
The new government will have found a crisis in their inbox around children's mental health and well-being. There is a huge mismatch between the level of need and the ability of the services that we have to respond. We know that waiting lists are huge, with some children waiting years to get help and some children getting more and more unwell during that period.
Young people here told me they want to see the government prioritising wait lists immediately, as teenagers are feeling helpless and turning to things that cause more severe harm as they wait.
I particularly struggled because in 2020 my mum passed away, but I never spoke to anyone for sort of like a year and a half, 2 years.
You know, there's people out there, the government may say to them, oh, you got to wait 9 months, 10 months, whatever, but you know, you don't know what that person can be thrown at them in that 9 to 10 months.
In the spring, Rishi Sunak's government announced more funding for mental health hubs. These give 11 to 25-year-olds the opportunity to get involved with local projects like Grow.
When you're outside in the sun, trees, birds, breeze makes you feel good. There's just all those indirect benefits of physical and mental health. And when you're working outside shoulder to shoulder with people, often that lowers anxiety and allows people to connect in a more holistic and less pressured way.
But the government funding only lasts for a few months, so there's a huge number of youth services calling on the new Labour government to take urgent action. The Department of Health told us they're committed to making sure every young person gets the help they need, and their aim is to recruit an additional 8,500 mental health workers to cut waits for treatment. Hannah Gray, BBC Look North, Sheffield.
Well, we heard there how long waits can be for some children. Earlier I spoke to Dr. Angharad Rudkin, who's a child clinical psychologist. I began by asking what someone can do if they are struggling but can't access support.
It is difficult when you're feeling desperate and you're feeling sad and you're feeling anxious and you're waiting for some help. I do get that. But there are lots of things that you as the young person, but also parents can do to help things not get worse. So basic things like lifestyle choices, so making sure you're eating well, making sure you're having regular exercise, trying really hard to get a good amount of sleep every day. That can in itself start to lift mood and make things start to feel a little bit better. And then really we're thinking about the networks that young people and their families already have around them. So is there a football coach or is there a karate teacher or somebody that your child trusts and likes and would be happy just to have a little chat with? Those kinds of things as well can be done while you're waiting for more specialist support.
We know these waiting times to see somebody are long. What are the underlying reasons behind these long waits?
Well, I think supply has definitely been outstripped by demand, and that was happening back in 2017, as your report mentions. But I think since COVID, we've seen an even greater escalation in levels of anxiety and depression in young people. All of us will have periods of feeling low and anxious, and this sort of sense of perfection isn't a reality. So I think we've got this need to feel better. And we've got services that are just on their knees. They're trying really hard to put up with and manage the demand, and it's just a hard place to be working at the moment.
Briefly, is there any solution to these issues?
Short term and long term. I think long term we just need more funding. We need funding for training. We need funding for support and continuing professional development for these professionals. And then short term, I think for the young people who are waiting, it's about looking after yourself as well as you can while you're waiting, rather than thinking, I can't do anything, I just need to wait for the specialist to tell me what to do.
OK, Dr Angharad Rudkin, thank you very much for talking to us today. You're watching Wednesday's Look North, still to come on tonight's programme. 6 of our teams are through to the second round of the League Cup so far. We'll have a roundup of all the action. OK, let's get some news in brief now. 3 teenagers have been arrested on suspicion of murder following the death of a 15-year-old boy in Doncaster. Darius Poppen was found with multiple injuries on the 27th of July on a section of the Trans-Pennine Trail near Sprotborough. He died the next day in hospital. Police say 2 17-year-old boys and a 15-year-old girl who were previously arrested for drugs-related offences have now been arrested on suspicion of murder and remain in custody. An inquest has been opened and adjourned on a mother and daughter who died in a house fire in Huddersfield. Police say they're not looking for anyone else in connection with the blaze at a property in Leeds Road last month, which killed 31-year-old Daniel Parkinson and her 8-year-old daughter Eliza. Her 10-year-old sister was critically injured. Officials in Leeds say they might buy 7 buildings in the city centre from their private owner, including one which collapsed. Lower Kirkgate has been closed to traffic since the incident in April. The City Council says it's looking at redevelopment as the current situation is impacting local businesses. Now, next this evening, a Leeds man left to raise his siblings after his mum died of bowel cancer is urging people to take part in the NHS screening programme. Elliot Coleman's mum, Sue, was only 56 when she died. He's now backing a £300,000 Cancer Research UK project, which will fund psychologists to find new ways to get more people to complete tests. Currently, only 40% of tests are returned after they're sent out, as Abby Jayola now reports.
There isn't a day where I don't think about her, and some days are harder than others.
Elliot lost his mum Sue to cancer 2 years ago. The cancer started in her bowel. It was at stage 4 when it was discovered, but then it spread. Sue had 5 years of treatment to try and give her more time with her family. Her death left Elliot raising his teenage siblings.
My brother's just currently doing his lessons to drive, so my mum won't be able to see him drive. He's doing his A-levels as well. There was my sister's prom that my mum didn't manage to see.
Now, more than ever, Elliot is wishing his mum was still here.
And my partner's expecting to have a baby in December, so again, my mum would have been the best grandma possible. I know how good she would have been, and again, it's unfortunate that she's not going to be able to play that role.
Elliot's speaking out in support of a new Cancer Research UK funded project which will look at ways to try and encourage more people to take up and complete bowel cancer screening tests.
When it's time to do your bowel cancer screening test, you'll get a kit through the post.
Every year, around 3,800 people in Yorkshire and the Humber are diagnosed with bowel cancer. Screening is offered to people aged between 54 and 74. However, a quarter of people don't take it up, and 40% of those who do don't return the kits. Researchers at the University of Leeds want to change that.
So what we're really interested in is trying to get people to engage with the screening programme. That will reduce the risk of being further down the line in terms of the cancer diagnosis, and that will ultimately increase the likelihood of full recovery.
Elliot wants to prevent other families suffering the loss of a loved one.
I know my mum went through 5 years of pain. I just don't want anyone else to go through that, so my role really is to just try and help others, and I think it can easily be helped by just simply doing a screening kit.
Sue was only 50 when she was diagnosed, so wasn't eligible for bowel cancer screening. but Elliot hopes that those that are invited will take the test. Abby Jayola, BBC Look North, Leeds.
OK, let's turn to politics now. The elected mayor of York and North Yorkshire says more homes need to be built there. David Scaife has been in the job for 100 days now and says he's been talking to people to see what they want him to do. His plan is to press the government for more powers over planning. He's been speaking to our political reporter, James Vincent.
I think the big thing that always comes in is planning is always one of the big ones that comes in. We know planning is a real issue.
And house building is going to be huge in the next few years.
House building is going to be huge, you know, and as it should be, because we have a housing crisis. We have a situation where people cannot afford to buy a home.
That's going to be a really interesting discussion in North Yorkshire, of course. Lots of green belt, lots of green land. I know you won't have the planning powers, but the councils that you work with will, and they're going to be told to build a load more houses. Are they going to have your support for building new housing estates and making sure they're in the right place?
They have my support to be building houses. If we're building houses that are in support with our communities, but not only that they have the infrastructure that goes with it. So we're not just building dormant homes in the middle of nowhere, how they are connected into transport, into opportunities, into skills, into jobs, into opportunities for people. If we're building homes like that, and then we are working with local authorities and the communities that those houses are going to be for and with, then obviously always going to have my support to be building homes.
David Scaife, the Mayor of York and North Yorkshire, talking to James Vincent. Now, he's the first British man ever to win an Olympic medal in the vault. And today, Harry Hepworth returned from Paris to Yorkshire. His teammate, Luke Whitehouse, fell just short of a medal, but both are tonight being proudly welcomed home by Leeds Gymnastics Club. Oggie's gone along to see the celebrations. Oggie, it's all yours. Looks like a nice evening there.
It is, Phil, and perhaps confusingly, let me explain to you, we're actually at Whitkirk Cricket Club, which is a couple of roundabouts down the Leeds Ring Road from Leeds Gymnastics Club, where these two gentlemen have cut their teeth as gymnasts, and that's where they made themselves what they are today. Congratulations, Harry Hepworth, on your achievement. We've seen the reception you got from the people here in East Leeds tonight. How much did that actually mean to you?
It means the world to me and Luke, because these are the people that have got us here. They've helped us get to the position we're in now. They've done everything, and we'll never be able to fully repay them ever.
We've actually interrupted your autograph signing session, Harry. Same goes for you, Luke. I see parents who are ambitious for their own kids, but some really determined young aspiring athletes who, well, what advice would you give to them for the future?
Always enjoy what you do, because if you enjoy it, you're going to want to do it. And if you do it all the time, you're going to get to the top. That's my advice.
Can you go further with that bronze medal around your neck, Luke? Because you are clearly busy. You're probably due a lie down after all you've achieved in Paris as a team. You've been roaring your teammates on. What happens next for you? You don't just sleep until the next Olympics, clearly. You're European floor champion.
Yeah, you know, gymnastics is one of them sports where we don't really have an off season, so I'm going to have a little holiday and then it's back to the hard work.
And if you walk down the street now, whether it's where you were born in Halifax or anywhere in Yorkshire, can you tolerate the people who are now going to recognise you a lot more because of what you and Harry have achieved in the Olympics as a team?
I'm not sure we're that famous yet, but yeah, no, it's incredible, the reception we got to see. You only see it maybe every 4 years when the Olympics is on, so yeah.
And you're part of a team, Luke, clearly. You're European floor champion. I want to emphasise that. It's our fault for perhaps not highlighting your achievements so far before now. Congratulations to what you both achieved and to the team generally. And we promise to keep in touch with you a bit more in future. Wonderful to have you back in Yorkshire. Go and have a good rest. You both deserve it. Once you finish signing autographs, that is. Let's just switch away from the Olympics to football, because last night it was a busy night of League Cup action, round one. Unusually by our standards, 6 of the 8 teams that got through actually won their matches. Leeds United and Sheffield Wednesday play tonight. Only Bradford City and Chesterfield came up short last night. Here are your winners.
Hats off to Harrogate Town first up. They were one of the stories of the night nationally. League 2 Town beating League 1 Lincoln by 2-1 in a great response to Saturday's slump against Bromley. Second half goals from Sam Follerin and James Daly set Harrogate up with a 2-0 platform, enough to limit Lincoln's late threat and consolation penalty. For Doncaster Rovers, it's played to 1-2. Rovers eased into the second round thanks to a 2-0 win at Salford. Billy Sharp was at it again, his early strike and a stoppage time effort from Luke Molyneux doing the job. Huddersfield Town brushed Morecambe aside with an aggressive 3-0 win. The pick of their 3 first half goals was clearly the second, finished off by Callum Marshall. He scored on his debut before supplying Danny Ward for the Terriers' third. Rotherham United's second half rally turned their home deficit to Crewe into a 2-1 win. Miller's Sam Nombe equalising at 1-1 and sub Hakeem Odoffin winning it with 4 minutes left. Barnsley's first win of the season was hard-earned in their tie at Wigan. Goalkeeper Gabby Slonina the hero in a penalty shootout after Donovan Pines had levelled for Barnsley with a header in normal match time.
I just want to prove to you that we not just put this on for show. As soon as we'd finished our conversation, Luke Whitehouse has been immersed back amongst the autograph hunters. Harry Hepworth's disappeared, the balloons still on show. It could actually be a much longer night than we anticipated here at Whitkirk Cricket Club. Great to have the guys back projecting gymnastics to Yorkshire and the rest of the country and celebrating quite rightly with their local friends and family what they've achieved. Back to the football, a reminder, Sheffield Wednesday away at Hull City tonight in the League Cup. Live commentary on BBC Radio Sheffield. Leeds United at home to Middlesbrough, live on BBC Radio Leeds. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff. Back to you, Phil.
Top work, Oggy. Thank you so much live there at Whitkirk Cricket Club. What a turnout those guys have got as well. Now, before the pandemic, Chinese tourists were a common sight in Yorkshire, especially in places like York, for instance. But the world's most populous country only reopened its borders last year. So this is really the first summer where people from China have been able to return in large numbers. Well, today, a group of piano students were in Leeds to view a new exhibition. It's hoped they are the first of many more to come in the coming years. Olivia Richard has the story.
Hidden away in a little industrial corner of Holbeck, Leeds, is an emporium of piano history. And downstairs, a renowned Chinese pianist is putting on a free concert. The piano is popular in China, with an estimated 40 million students currently learning to play the instrument. Li Can, once a student in London, is now a teacher herself and is leading students and their parents on a cultural tour of the UK.
They have a concerts and practice and with the famous university. And they can know the different culture.
The culture is different with China. And I see I can have a very good chance to open my horizon.
Before the pandemic, many Chinese tourists came to Yorkshire attracted by the history and scenery. But China only reopened its borders last April. Yorkshire, however, remains a popular choice.
They will visit the York Minster Shambles, but as also in Leeds, they visit Harewood House, and then go up to the Harrogate, sometimes the UNESCO heritage site called the Fountains Abbey.
China is an important customer for antique pianos because many were destroyed in the Cultural Revolution of the 60s and 70s. But this exhibition at Besbrode Pianos is open to all.
Some of the pianos here are very valuable and very old. And now this exhibition, The Golden Age of the Piano, will be open to the public for free until the end of September.
The Leeds International Piano Competition takes place every 3 years and attracts competitors and audiences from around the world. It gets underway next month with loads of events planned across the city. Olivia Richwald, BBC Look North, Leeds.
Well, we heard the final note just about there, I think, didn't we? Paul, we're halfway through August tomorrow, and it doesn't seem to have been a bad month, August, unusually, because normally it's a bit of a washout.
It was normally the most mixed of the summer months, but it's turning out to be the best one. I think that will
be the case by the time we get to the end of August. So that's great. Look at this in Whitby.
That's
Have
fantastic.
you ever seen a sky like that before?
That's not been touched up, has it?
No, it's not been. Don't be ridiculous. We don't do fake news on this slot. This is altostratus, a little bit of altocumulus up there as well. Absolutely stunning. Thanks for Matt sending that in. That was sent in at lunchtime. Now this is beautiful.
Nice,
I looked very carefully. You might need a magnifying glass at home. You see the paragliders coming off the top of Littondale. Absolutely beautiful. It's been an amazing day across the Yorkshire Dales today with all that blue sky and sunshine. If you've got any pictures undoctored, you'd like to send them to me, the addresses are on your screen right now. So a bit of a mixed picture tomorrow. We have got a weather front that will bring some rain in from the west. Amounts don't look terribly high, very light and patchy, especially in eastern areas. And then once that's out of the way, pressure builds from the southwest. So there's tomorrow's weather front. And then high pressure comes in over the top of it. It means Friday and the weekend looking dry with some sunshine, and another lovely weekend to come along that Yorkshire coastline of ours. Now, there's still a bit of patchy cloud around, but most of us are fine this evening. There will be some sunshine to come. And then overnight it looks pretty quiet, dry with clear spells. A bit of cloud filtering into the west later, maybe a bit of patchy rain up there over the Yorkshire Dales, but most of us will stay dry and we will see temperatures around 11 Celsius, that is 52 Fahrenheit. Tomorrow's high water times then in Filey at 1:20 in the afternoon. Best of tomorrow's weather will be in the morning, especially across eastern areas. It's dry and bright with some sunshine. More cloudy further west. You can see the rain coming into north and west Yorkshire. Late morning, early afternoon. That weather front will spill its rain ever southeastwards, but it breaks up as it comes across the Pennines. So really small amounts across eastern parts of our region. Temperatures 22 in Doncaster with a bit of brightness. Tomorrow evening, not looking too clever. It's cloudy with patchy outbreaks of rain and drizzle. But the good news is Friday and the weekend is looking dry and bright with spells of sunshine. That's the forecast, Phil.
That's what I like to hear, Paul. Thank you very much for that. Corinne will be back with a late bulletin at 10:30. But from Paul and myself and the rest of the team, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday evening. Good night.